Today, Tesla shares pop after the electric vehicle company finally claims a spot on the benchmark S&P 500 index. But shares of retail pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens are falling as Amazon pushes onto their turf with a big announcement. And finally, more good news this week on a COVID vaccine, but it will take time to distribute. And as we speak, more than 70,000 Americans are currently hospitalized with the virus. I'm MacKenzie Sigalos, and this is CNBC After Hours. Stocks fell across the board today. Each of the three major indexes closed lower for the first time in 3 days. All but 2 of the 11 S&P sectors finished in the red, as the market took a breather after yesterday's record-setting day when both the Dow and S&P 500 posted all-time closing highs. Now, we got those records after biotech firm Moderna said that its COVID-19 vaccine candidate was more than 94% effective, according to preliminary trial data. And remember, exactly 1 week before this announcement, pharmaceutical company Pfizer revealed that the vaccine it was working on was 90% effective. So that's a lot of encouraging news for Americans after a long 8 months of quarantine, social distancing, soaring unemployment, and of course, sickness and death at a massive scale. Right now, the coronavirus pandemic is still wreaking havoc on the health of this country. Cases and deaths are rising, and hospitalizations have hit a new peak. So how long will it be before these vaccines get FDA approval? And what will things look like once the general population gets inoculated? CNBC's Meg Tirrell has those details.
So the news from Moderna this week was very welcome. 94.5% efficacy for their COVID-19 vaccine in their phase 3 trial. And of course, that came just a week after Pfizer and BioNTech's vaccine showed 90% plus efficacy in their trial. And so public health experts and vaccine experts say this is incredibly good news because you see 2 independent programs showing this really high level of efficacy. One really bolsters the other and suggests this is the right approach to take to being able to target this virus with a vaccine. Now, there are still questions that are unanswered about both of these vaccines. We know that they prevented cases of COVID-19 in the trial, and in the Moderna trial, we got data suggesting it also prevents severe disease, which is tremendously important for limiting the number of people who go into the hospital. But we don't know if these vaccines prevent infection with the virus completely, and that will be important for stopping transmission. We should find out about that within the coming weeks and months. We also don't know the duration of the protection that these vaccines provide, just because this is a brand new virus, this is a brand new technology, and so that will be something that's answered over the coming months as well. But these 2 vaccines together will give us enough supply once they get through the FDA process, which probably will play out over the next few weeks, to vaccinate about 20 million Americans by the end of this year. Then starting in 2021, we hear from health officials there should be enough for 25 million Americans, or about that, per month with these 2 vaccines. And as more vaccines come on board, if they are successful as well, those are the ones from J&J, AstraZeneca, and others, they say that starting April, May, June, July, according to Dr. Fauci, there will be enough supply for the general population, as they call it, in the United States to start getting vaccinated as well. So that does depend on the other vaccines also being successful. Right now, we are in a stage of this pandemic where everywhere in the U.S. is seeing increased case numbers, increased hospitalizations, and so we do have a record number of people in the hospital with COVID right now, more than 73,000. So that passes a prior peak of about 70,000 in the spring, but those 73,000 are really spread out around the country. But we are seeing ICUs starting to get overwhelmed. States like North Dakota, 96% ICU occupancy, Oklahoma, 94%, Wisconsin, 91%, according to data from Evercore ISI. So this is the stage where you really start to get worried, because as case numbers rise, a few weeks later you see hospitalizations rise. If healthcare systems get overwhelmed, that's when you start to see the death rate start to rise as well, when there just aren't enough doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals to take care of everybody.
Okay, let's get to our sound check. Here's a roundup of the day's biggest action and what the top newsmakers and business leaders had to say.
We are required to help increase the health of the public conversation, while at the same time ensuring that as many people as possible can participate. And in order to do so, we need to make policies so that people feel safe and they feel free to express themselves.
The challenges that we face are deeper than any one platform. They're about how we want to balance basic social equities that we all care about, like free expression, public safety, and privacy. This is why I believe we would benefit from clearer guidance from elected officials.
I think the biggest lesson for us was putting the health and safety of all the participants first. And the most important thing is that the players, the coaches, the teams, they all actually adhere to those protocols.
Here we are. I'm living that thing that I feared the most. Let us get out of this, and hopefully the lessons that we will have learned from this, we will have enough corporate memory that our preparedness will not let something like this happen again.
You had a chance to invest with Jeff Bezos very early and you didn't. Why?
I'm so stupid. Don't embarrass me. I'm so much regretting my life. He and I were just one-on-one in a small hotel in Switzerland and talking a couple of hours investing, and he and I almost agreed.
Elon Musk has had a pretty great 24 hours. The SpaceX Crew Dragon successfully docked at the International Space Station last night after launching from Florida on Sunday with 4 astronauts on board. And his other company, Tesla, well, it was just added to the S&P 500. Now, we talk about the S&P every day on After Hours, and with good reason. It's the benchmark index for the U.S. stock market, and if you're talking S&P performance, you're getting a snapshot of the broader health of stocks in general. And now, Tesla's stock performance is included in that snapshot. The stock rallied all day and closed significantly higher. So why was Tesla picked now, and why would shares rise after something like inclusion in an index? CNBC.com's markets reporter Pippa Stevens can explain.
On Monday night, S&P Dow Jones Indices, which is behind the S&P 500, said that they were going to add Tesla to the index come December. Tesla first qualified to join in July when it reported its 4th straight quarter of profitability. So a lot of people thought it was only a matter of time before it was added. Joining the S&P 500 doesn't change anything on the face of it. It doesn't impact how many cars Tesla makes, or it doesn't influence their revolutionary battery technology. But it is a milestone for Elon Musk, a controversial founder, and for Tesla, which many people have doubted. There's been skeptics. So this is going to cause a huge shuffling in the market. S&P Dow Jones Indices estimates that about $51 billion of other positions, of other S&P 500 positions, will be sold in order for fund managers to then buy shares of Tesla. So on one side, this could lead to a big rally in shares of Tesla because all of a sudden, all these funds now need to own it. But on the other hand, other people point out that this was a widely anticipated move, meaning that people started buying up the stock in anticipation that it would be added to the index months and months ago. So after Tesla's more than 400% rally this year, the valuation is now over $400 billion, which means that it's the largest company that would ever be added to the index. Tesla has a little bit of a checkered history when it comes to profit. They've experienced a lot of delays in the past, production delays. They've gone through a lot of cash. Elon Musk himself recently said that between 2017 and 2019, they were on the verge of bankruptcy. So there's a lot of people that really doubt the fact that it's now reported 5 straight quarters of profitability, especially since during the 4th quarter, some of that profitability came from tax credits, which of course is not core to Tesla's business and kind of fudges the metrics a little bit. There are a lot of people that say, Tesla doesn't have this lock on the EV market that other people think it does, particularly since a lot of retail investors have been involved in Tesla. It's kind of seen as a cult stock. People love Elon Musk, people love his vision, and so they invest in the company, maybe not totally understanding what the fundamentals actually are. So while Tesla now has turned a profit for 5 straight quarters and its first profit on an annual basis, there are still some questions from people on the street about whether or not that can continue.
Okay, time for today's numbers round. Let's kick it off with 45. Amazon announced today that it's launching a pharmacy, allowing customers in 45 U.S. states to order prescription meds online and have them delivered to their homes. Amazon Pharmacy also includes free delivery for Prime members. It's the latest push by the e-commerce giant into the $300 billion market, following its 2018 acquisition of digital pharmacy PillPack. Shares of retail pharmacies CVS and Walgreens traded significantly lower all day on the news. Next, $219 million. Airbnb made $219 million in the third quarter of this year, according to paperwork the company filed with the SEC for its upcoming IPO. Its core business, travel, has been absolutely decimated by the COVID-19 pandemic, and Airbnb took a significant hit. But after deep cost cuts, including plans to lay off 25% of staff and an increased demand for home rentals in rural areas, Airbnb was able to bounce back from the spring and turn a profit over the third quarter. And finally, 79. E-commerce sales for retail giant Walmart surged 79% in the third quarter. That's according to the company's earnings report that came out this morning. More people are browsing online and shipping items to their home during the pandemic, and Walmart's CFO said that this shift in consumer behavior amounts to 3 to 5 years of acceleration in e-commerce in just a matter of months. That's it for After Hours, but before we go, here's one more thing to keep an eye on. Earnings season, the few weeks when the public gets a glimpse at the books of publicly traded companies, is winding down, but not before some big names step up to the plate. Target reports early tomorrow morning, and last quarter, profits jumped a staggering 80%. Can they keep up that level of growth? Find out by going to CNBC.com and downloading the CNBC app, where we are going to have all of those numbers. We'll be back here in our home office every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday with a new edition of After Hours, so be sure to catch us then.